Welcome to Everything's Not Black and White with your hosts, Lala and Brian.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our newest episode of Everything's Not Black and White with Brian and Lala. I know y'all are like, where y'all been? Baby, all I got to say is one word, life. Okay, we're going to just keep it moving because you all know what life has been like in 2022. So let's just keep it moving. But we are so grateful that you all are still listening. You're still subscribing. Please keep sharing with your friends. And we are about to address an amazing topic with an amazing person. I am so excited to be able to welcome to the EMBW podcast the incomparable Christian Family Esquire. And Christian is a dear sister of mine that we have been on this public speaking trail together. And Christian is a divorced lawyer, a twice divorced mother, and a child of divorced parents who also live with her. So we have a lot to talk about with the big D word. And she's coming with some big D energy. And that's big divorce energy. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's please welcome Christian Family to our podcast. Welcome, girl.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for having me here today.
We are so excited to have you. So I gave a little intro, but people are like, I'm sorry, what? Divorce. What? What's going on? Can you give us a little bit of the background and how your story came to be to where you are today?
Excellent. There's so many different places to start, but we'll start, I guess, at the very beginning, right? I was introduced to divorce at the age of 7 by my parents. And at that time, the only thing I knew about divorce is that I never wanted to do it. That's the only thing I knew about divorce. This is something to be avoided.
Yes.
You know? And my thought about divorce started to evolve because when I became a lawyer, which is its own sad story, my first gig was at Legal Aid in Cleveland, and I was in the domestic violence division in the family law unit. So now I'm helping victims of abuse get out of marriages. And so I thought, well, you don't want to avoid divorce if you married the wrong person. Right. So it was still kind of judgy. You don't want to get divorced unless you kind of messed it up a little bit. Right. And so it evolved there. Then I got married. Oh. And I would say I did everything right. And I mean that because I was so convinced that I was never going to be divorced. Right. Not like my parents, not like these women I had been helping. Right. I'm not these people.
Right.
I am me. And then when it was shortly before my 3rd anniversary and my husband said to me, I don't love you the way a husband should love a wife. I don't think I want to be married anymore. I kind of shattered into reality, and I realized that divorce happens. Divorce can happen to you. It doesn't mean that you necessarily did anything wrong. It doesn't mean that you're bad. Divorce can happen. And so that kind of shattered me into the reality of divorce, you know?
Yeah.
I continued practicing divorce because I've been a divorce lawyer for nearly 20 years. Found myself in a second marriage because, well, I'm the marrying kind. In this second marriage, now I had 3 kids. And so I'm committed to not let this one end in divorce because for the love of Pete, haven't you figured this out?
Right.
Don't be divorced twice, and just let the whole world know that you're a failure at marriage. But alas, after again shattering into reality when he blacked my eye, I thought, hey, no, don't get me wrong. Let's be clear. When he blacked my eye, I didn't figure it out right away. I'm ashamed to say that, but here we are.
It's okay.
I was at a place in my life where I was changing my name. You know, my name is fancy, right? Christian Family.
It's Christian Family.
Yes, it's nice. Not my birth name. That's also a side story. You might get it later. But he blacked my eye the day before my name change hearing. So I went into my name change hearing with this black eye. And then the next day, I was starting this leadership training. Here's where the magic is. And there was a sign on the wall that says, what are you pretending not to know? And here I am at this training trying to figure out how come my business, where my message is that Christian women don't have to stay in bad marriages, isn't flourishing. Well, Christian woman in a bad marriage.
Right. With the black eye looking right back at you.
Right? You are not, you're incongruent with what your message is. What you're pretending not to know is that you, in fact, are an abused woman. And so that led to divorce number 2. But the magic in it all, the beauty in it all, because even though I didn't want to be divorced twice, and I came from this line of divorce. My parents are here for me now, right? My dad started living with me in 2014 while I still was married to the second husband. After he left, my mom moved in too, right? And recall they've been divorced since I was 7. But just having both of them there and seeing how they're able to interact and remembering how they raised me as a child, right? It gives me faith and hope to know that I have not done my children a disservice, right? My children will be able to have the relationship they need with both of their parents. I didn't have to stay in that bad marriage for them to be able to flourish. And so here we are.
Wow. That is incredibly powerful, what you're talking about. And just even, knowing who you supported and served in that time as a lawyer. We talk about a lot of different reasons why people get divorced, and abuse is definitely one of the ones that are really on the top level. But what are some of the other reasons why people, in your experience, get divorced?
Oh, the number one reason people get divorced is unmet expectations. That's actually the gist of it all. Because who knows what marriage is like, really, except for what you saw your parents doing, which may or may not have been right, and what you've seen on TV. So you don't really know, right? Most people are going into it just kind of making shit up. Can I cuss here?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Girl.
All right. So most people
sailors run out of our front yard, so it's okay.
People are going
great.
into it, right? Just kind of making shit up. And so then when the other person doesn't fit the script that you have written for them, right? Then resentment starts to build up. And so resentment, right, is a big reason because they did little things that you thought they were going to do differently, right? Yeah. And then most people aren't able to share their feelings and express how they feel and what they really want. And so I want this thing from my spouse, but I don't know how to ask for it. I just want them to know to give it, and they won't. And so now I'm angry with them.
Right.
And then the disrespect comes in.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it builds. And this is really why people are getting divorced. People think it's about money, which is a thing, not communicating, not liking the in-laws, but infidelity. But the reality is a marriage can recover from anything. You don't have, these things do not have to end marriages.
Right.
But they do, right? Because it's like a hanging thread on a sweater. You know?
Right.
This is a very expensive sweater. It's got a little hanging thread on it.
Right.
You want to keep this sweater.
Right.
So you want to do something about that hanging thread and keep it.
Right.
But if you don't, and you just keep pulling it,
Right.
and pulling it, and pulling it, that whole sweater will unravel.
Right.
And to me, that's what happens with marriages.
With my divorce, one of the things that I failed to do as a husband is communicate. So when I was slowly starting to check out and get resentful, like you're speaking about, by the time I brought it up, I'm already 2 years ahead of the process than she is, which unfortunately it was devastating to her, which absolutely understand why.
Yeah.
But at the time, I don't think I had the understanding of how inconsiderate I was being.
Yeah.
So I think one thing men can do better, well, probably all people, not just men, is just communicate
Yeah.
better so that resentment doesn't build up, like you said, that thread, because that could be detrimental. So can I ask you now, like going forward, do you still feel like you can find love in a marriage situation again, or?
Oh, absolutely. My position is that marriage works, right? Like people are always saying half of marriages fail. Well, then that means that half of them stand the test of time. Right?
It's a half glass, half full or half empty, right?
Yeah, no, marriage works. I'm definitely looking forward to be married again.
I hear that, gentlemen?
And ladies too.
That's right.
Right.
Exactly. Equal opportunity. I love that. One of the things I definitely, you mentioned earlier is about, having your parents come back now and live with you. And then you feel like, you're presenting a life to your children that you don't have to be, like traumatized by divorce. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like what your children have experienced, what you experienced even at 7 years old with your parents divorcing, and now what you're seeing your children experience through divorce?
Well, I wish it was all beautiful, and it's not. I remember, and my dad tells the story about when I learned that they were going to get divorced, saying to them, I don't want a divorce. I want to be a family. And I remember feeling that, And one of the things that it did to me personally is it turned me to a place where I felt like I didn't really have control over my environment, right? Because if I couldn't keep my family together, then I don't really have control over things.
Yeah.
And if I want them to be together and I can't have that, I learned to stop wanting things. It also learned to be satisfied with whatever was given to me, right? And so it was then that I put on my rose-colored glasses. And so in a lot of ways, that coping mechanism, it helped me in a lot of ways through life, but then everything gets to a point where it doesn't help you anymore,
right?
Which is really how I ended up in that marriage, right? Where he didn't love me the way a husband should love a wife, right? Because I was so busy living in this rose-colored glasses world that I had built for myself, right? To protect myself from my parents' divorce, you know? And so there was that. Now, my children, it helps me to see what they're going through because part of them still wants me to be back with their dad.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I always wanted my parents back together.
Sure,
and here I got them, right? And so,
Right.
so I get it, you know? The main thing that I'm trying to model for them is I don't remember any stress with my dad coming to get me. And having been a divorce lawyer all this time, I know that for a lot of children, that is a situation. Mom is angry that dad is coming. If dad comes late, now there's this whole interchange, you know, at the door. There's this stress around the whole thing.
Right.
And it takes even some of the fun out of it, you know, where a child's not even allowed to enjoy the time with the other parent. How dare you really like them? Even if the parent isn't saying it overtly, they're just kind of sending that message out, you know?
Right.
My mother, on the other hand, is kind of like me. I'm happy when those kids go because I'm happy when they gone. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Hey, your daddy coming.
You
Be
still
ready.
who you are, right? You still a person. You still a whole person. You want things to do for yourself. Like, it's all right.
Right.
Literally.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
no,
I try to.
The longer that goes on, the more comfortable you get with having that
Baby.
time off.
Because, I mean, baby, our kids are 26 and almost 21. We're like, yes, be gone. And we love grandkids that we can send back home.
Exactly.
That part.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, right. So
We feel
I'm
you.
happy. I've made it to be a time I'm happy they're going to see their dad. Right. So it's a good time. Hey, your daddy coming. Right. Are your bags ready? Your father's going to be here.
We've experienced very similar things, you know, from co-parenting, right? Co-parenting is a challenge in many ways, you know, and we talk about that a lot, you know, and I definitely, you know, Brian and I, and for our listeners, they know we have a blended family. And we always talk about, you know, Jason, who is Brian, our oldest child, is my bonus kid because Jason has a full-on mom outside of our marriage. You know, but with Aji, you know, I was truly a single mom. And so when Brian came into our lives and he adopted Aji, you know, we became this one whole family unit, you know. And so we talk about co-parenting a lot and we have a great relationship with Jerry, you know, but a lot of times people are afraid to get divorced because they're afraid of what happens to the kids in a co-parenting situation. So, like, what advice would you give to people who are kind of challenged to stay in a marriage for the kids? Because we've heard that many, many times.
Oh, my God. Here's the thing that I can tell you. I have a girlfriend who came to me when she started hearing me talk about divorce. And because there were some people who were giving me some pushback about, like you're advocating divorce. I said, no, I'm not advocating divorce. I'm advocating healthy marriages.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
I'm advocating healthy marriages.
Right.
And if it's healthy marriages don't end in divorce. Let's start right there.
Right.
In my experience.
Right.
I've
Right.
never seen it happen.
Right.
Never. Right?
Totally.
So that being said, she said to me, your message is so important. She said because she went to her high school counselor when she was about 16 to get the courage to go to her parents and ask them to get a divorce.
Wow.
She says the way that you treat each other, the way that you talk to each other, the energy in this house, please just get divorced. And that's the message. Kids, no.
Right.
Right? And is it really what you want to be modeling for your children? A loveless marriage?
Right.
An angry home? What is it really that you want for your kids?
Right.
You know, and this intact family is not the end all be all.
Right.
Right? Because, you know, sometimes one spouse passes away. So now this family is broken. What about military families?
Right.
You know, where another spouse lives away. This family isn't broken.
Right.
Right? Families are made of love. You don't all have to be in one house.
Yes.
And if being in that house is creating turmoil and confusion in any kind of way, if it's making you feel shut down, like you can't be yourself, you can't express yourself, then you're not doing your kids a favor at all.
Yeah, I agree. In the case of divorce, when you have a mother and a father, is there a stereotype that goes further with one parent than the other in a negative way?
Oh, yeah. The dads definitely kind of get the short end of the stick on the divorce spectrum, because people are always talking about deadbeat dads and bad dads. But let's be clear. There's a lot of toxic moms out there.
Baby.
Okay? It really does work both ways, And so, yeah, dads do tend to get the low end of the stick. And I notice it sometimes, too. My people have pointed out, like when I give my examples, it's always custodial mom and visiting dad because that's just kind of the norm we've been taught.
Yeah.
But it's not always that way.
Yeah, when I went through my divorce almost 15 years ago right here in Franklin County here in Columbus, Ohio, I had to watch a film with my ex-wife, and it was a video presenting different situations that we had to go through and kind of watch the video. It kind of tells us how to handle them. But in all the situations, they were all the same. It was the dad who was late. It was the dad who was talking smack behind mom's back. It was never the other way around. And when I left that movie we had to, I was more pissed off than when I walked in. Like, I'm like, what the hell was that? What did I just watch? Like, because I paid child support even before I was divorced. I started paying child support voluntary, which is the lawyer will tell you not to do because you might not get that money back. I was a good dad, but here I am sitting in front of the Franklin County court system watching this movie, and they're basically telling me, I felt like they were telling me I was a bad dad. How do fathers get over that perspective or overachieve with that perspective placed upon them?
Let me tell you, it's hard, and I wish I had better advice than that, because unfortunately, so much of it does still originate in the mind of the mother, right? Like I say that to people all the time, like the idea of shared parenting. Well, you can have a piece of paper that says shared parenting. It doesn't matter what the paper says. If the mother does not see you as an equal parent in her mind, it's never really going to work the way that it should, Yeah. And so then we end up with dads who, fortunately, they have some men's fathers groups, I almost have to tell you, right? Because it's hard. You can't convince a woman who doesn't want to see you as an equal that you're equal. Right. Right. Yeah. And so, boy, I wish I had a better advice than that.
I mean, we talking reality here, right? How do we help change that perspective, though?
Okay, so here's my analogy. Sometimes you have to take low, right? Sometimes you have to take low. It's a position that I have to take in order to ensure that my kids have a relationship with their dad.
Yeah.
I have to kind of let him call the shots in order to let this work.
Yeah.
I can't be like, well, your time starts at this time, and so you better be here at this time or you're not going to see your kids because now I'm the asshole.
Right.
If he says, I'm coming to see the kids at this time, I say, okay. Right? All right. They'll be ready. Like, whatever it is.
Right.
I'm bringing them back at 10. I thought it was going to be 2. I'm bringing them back at 10. Okay. Right? I have to.
Yeah.
Let him call the shots. And and it's a kind of disempowered position, but not really, because I know I'm thinking about the kids. What's more important is that the kids have this relationship with their dad. And so sometimes dads have to take low.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to let her call the shots. But you do. If she said you can get the kid at 2, well, then I suggest you show up at 2. If you get there at 2:30, she's going to shut the door and not let you see your children.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Take low.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And I think it can go for both sides, right? And I think the biggest thing that I got from what you just said is what is best for the kids. With divorced parents, and I've seen it because I was a child of divorce too. You got till 7, I had till 2 years old when my parents got divorced. And so it was very clear that my mom was like, she's a custodial parent, but she's like, you have free reign to come and see your kids anytime you want. Come and get them, come take them to your family, whatever. My dad made different choices, which whatever, it's fine. But that was the key. It was like, you know what is best for the kids? The kids need to have a mother and a father, or just 2 parents that love them, in all worlds. So how do you make sure that the parents have access to those kids? And that's the most important thing, And so we still battle with that.
Not only a mother or father, but a mother and a mother or a father and a
exactly.
father. It
So
doesn't matter.
parents,
It's love.
like 2 loving parents, or even a loving parent. Because I came from a single parent household. I was a single parent till my youngest was 6 years old when I met this lovely man, and we got married. And so it was good. And I was able to train him exactly how I needed to train him
15 years later.
to be able to do what he needed to do. So that's
Very
real
nice.
talk. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So I saw a lot of statistics around divorce, which I thought was really interesting. So I would love to get some of your take. As a divorce lawyer and a mother twice divorced. So it said every 42 seconds, Every 42 seconds, there is one divorce in America. Every 42 seconds. And so that equates to 86 divorces per hour, 2,046 divorces per day, 14,364 divorces per week, and 746,971 divorces per year.
And you know what I thought?
Is that a good thing?
I need to get in on that money.
Man, listen, honey. I mean, let's talk about it.
Okay. 'Cause that's what I heard, right?
Honey, that's what you heard. You heard potential.
Right.
Financial potential.
Cha-ching.
That part. That part.
just like funeral homes, there's always going to be business.
Okay.
Honey, that part. That part, honey. Call Christian Family for your divorce needs.
Thank you. But those numbers sound true, and they're very scary. I think those numbers are scary, and so how can we take the stigma from divorce?
Yeah,
that's one of the things I want to do, because if all these divorces are happening, right, does it mean that marriage is the problem? Because I think that's what people are getting from that. I think when people hear these statistics, what they hear is that marriage is the problem. And I want to change that. I'm not exactly sure how to do it, but I know that's what I want to do, because I don't think marriage is the problem. The problem is people don't necessarily know how to be married. Right.
And I think that's so interesting, because I don't feel like people have enough conversation. Kind of the earlier part of our conversation is that, do you have unrealistic expectations for being married? And then even coming into the marriage knowing that, and we know the data is out there that's saying exactly what you said. Why aren't more people having these conversations in the first place?
Girl, because love make you blind.
Honey.
Love
That's
makes
true.
you blind.
That's true.
And then you get people like me who I kind of think that I'm magical. I mean, don't get me wrong. In some ways, I am magical.
Honey, black girl magic.
Right? But, I feel like I have decided that this is going to be right. And so I don't need to talk about it. Right? I don't need to ask my friends. I don't need to ask my mom. I need to ask God. Doggone it, this is right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make it right until it's not. Right. And so I don't know. I sense a lot of people are kind of going into that, like my mindset at the beginning. I'm not like those people.
Right.
I'm not like those people that couldn't stay married. I'm not like those people. I'm somehow special. Like people who think they're going to smoke crack and not become addicted.
Baby.
Crack is addictive.
It's addictive.
Marriage is hard.
I remember early on in our marriage, we had quite a few challenges, because every time her and I got into a debate or a fight over something, it might have been small, might have been big, I don't remember, but her reaction was always just the end of our relationship. Now, I had been married 10 years previously, so I was like, it's just an argument. We'll get beyond this. And I had to almost convince her, like, it's okay. This happens in a marriage. But again, it goes back to the expectation. Like she really didn't have an expectation and know what to understand, what it takes to be in a marriage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh,
and I
thank
think
you for that.
Oh,
go ahead. Yeah,
no,
thank you for
please.
that, Brian, though, because that's true about the arguing. So this is a thing where parents do, and they try to keep the arguing away from the kids. And so it doesn't let kids know that people can argue and get over it.
Exactly.
An argument doesn't have to
Some
mean the
quicker
end of
than
the
others.
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that's really good. That's a good thing to model. And I'm glad you were patient with your wife. Like, that's something. Hey, no, we're just arguing.
Right. I mean, it's true. And I would always say, and if I'm not right, then we don't need to be together, because I'm always right. So I'm just letting that happen.
That's that inner heifer coming out of her
that's
right
exactly
there.
right. Honey, trust and believe. But like literally to his point, if I look back to my entire family lineage, the ones that I know of in my lifetime, there's only been two couples in my entire family history that were married to the same person from birth to death. From the original inception to death. And everybody else has been divorced multiple times, at least once, some twice, some 3 times. Because, it comes in threes, right?
Right.
And so to me, I'm just like, well, if the marriage don't work, it just don't work. Right. And so when he's talking about, we get into argument, I'm like, well, that was fun. Guess it's done now. And so that was my mindset. He's just like, we just had an argument. What you tripping on? And I'm like, what? We can stay married? Right. So it was a thing. It was a thing, because I did not see that growing up. All I know is that people got tired and they just be like, nope.
And it's over.
And it's over.
Oh, we joke in my family because so like my grandparents, my mom's parents were married until my granddad passed away. I want to say it was 64 years of marriage. They got married when she was 15, he was 18, right?
Love it.
And so my mother's brothers, let's say 3 of them at least, they married one woman and they stayed married to her for life. Right? The women, on the other hand, we've been having a hard time, right? Divorced a couple times, not married until 50, these kind of things,
right,
you know?
Right.
And so we finally looked at it and we said, you know what happened? The women are looking for men like Granddaddy.
Yeah.
Granddaddy was a tough, soft man. And the men are looking for women like my grandmother, who's a bitch. And bitches are a dime a dozen. You can find a bitch anywhere. You know what I mean?
That, hunty.
Okay.
That's real talk. That's real talk. Honey, I believe in welcome that.
I got 99 problems, but what ain't one? Ain't one. I ain't saying that.
You ain't, that's right. I will say it myself, but you better damn never say it. That part is true. That part is true. So really, I want to talk a little bit too, which is interesting to me because I love statistics and data, but I love storytelling just as much. But I thought it was really interesting when you talk about people who stay married forever, but the actual divorce rate for people who are 50 years old or older has doubled in the past 20 years. Has doubled. So why, number one, do you think that is? And what do you think is the root cause for that?
The joke used to be that people stay married forever and that things have changed. That's why people get divorced, right? I don't think people have changed. It's easier to get divorced now.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's true.
It's just it's easier to get divorced. There's a such thing as a no-fault divorce now. Like back in the past, there was no-fault divorce. You had to have a reason to get divorced, right? Are they cheating? Are they a drunkard? Did they abandon you? Right? But now we have grounds like incompatibility. That's a no fault. Right. Or we've been living separate and apart for a year. So that's a no fault. So that thing in itself, that change in the law, which came up, I don't know, a couple decades ago, that helps, right? Because now I don't have to prove something to get divorced like I can. Women now also, just people are realizing that you don't have to stay like this, you know? So the misery, because you see people getting divorced now after 27 years, and 30 years and 40 years, and it seems ridiculous because you feel like people have been married this long, they must be happy. But they're not. But they're not. And something finally happens. One of the first divorces I did as a law student, we run a law clinic at Case. The woman had come here from one of these countries, like Uzbekistan or something, and she was like 80 years old, maybe only 78. And we didn't understand why she was wanting that divorce from that man. And she said, but I'm tired of him hitting on me. How dare that old ass man, excuse me. You know what I mean? Still trying to fight you. Do you know what I mean? Right?
Literally.
Like,
you 78? Man, don't make me kick that walker.
Wow.
Right?
Stop.
But it felt so crazy to us as young people. Like, you know what I mean? Just wait it out, lady. I mean, you've been married to him this long, but it was important to her. You know, I want to live my last years happy.
Ooh, girl, that just touched me in my spirit right
there. Do you
there.
think the longevity of life is also playing a factor in that? With people are living longer and they're just, we had a friend, how old were they when they got?
They were in their almost 70s and they'd been married literally since their late teens and got divorced. Can you imagine being with somebody 60 plus years and getting divorced? Whew, I can't even, first of all, I ain't even 60 years old yet. So even to the point where I'm now, I've been with this dude for 15 years. I'm like, mofo.
We gonna make it work.
Honey, we working. Because, honey, like you die, we die, somebody dying together, but we this gonna be done.
Right.
So it's mind-boggling to me to think somebody could be with somebody for 60 years and still get a divorce. It's wild.
Oh, wait, here, let me tell you this theory. Here's a theory that I've discovered that I probably should do more research on, but let me tell you, I know it's true.
Yes.
Marriages have what I call a half-life. Okay? All marriages have a half-life. If you got divorced after 20 years, it's been dying for the last 10. And you can look back to something that happened about 10 years ago. That was the trigger. Sometimes it's an infidelity. Sometimes a spouse died. Something happened. And you can look back. If a marriage is 3 years, the half-life was 18 months. And it's been dying that long. And so that's why people are surprised sometimes. Dang. They were married for 60 years. Well, it's been dying for 30. It just took it that long to finally fizzle all the way out.
But I think it comes down to what you said earlier. It's like there can be healthy marriages. You know, there's many factors to that people definitely need to be having conversations about before they actually walk down the aisle.
Yes.
You know, and so those kind of things need to happen a lot more often, you know, for us to be super successful about it.
Oh, yeah. And I like the idea. People kind of toss it around like, well, what if marriage wasn't for life? What if it was like a, renewable contract every 4 or 5 years? You know what I mean? And like you went back to it and you're like, hey, okay.
Well, the wealthy
So
do
we've
that
been
all
doing
the time.
this, right? We've been doing this. What do you think? Should we continue in this direction?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, Brian, tell the story what you talked about the other day about the renewal of the vows, the people that you met before, and he talking about renewing their vows.
Oh yeah, I was doing Lyft, and I gave a guy a ride, him and his wife, and they had been together for 20 years, and they just got remarried or renewed their vows. And I was like, well, what prompted you to do that? And she said, first of all, her dad didn't get to attend the original wedding, but second of all, they said everybody grows, so what I'm renewing is not actual renewal. It's I'm letting the person know that I love who they are now, and that's why I'm renewing. And I was like, it's such an interesting perspective that he came with. I never thought about it like that. And then when he said that, her and I talk about it all the time. Like every 10 years, we better be better than what we were 10 years ago, in our opinions. And so now I just thought it was a very insightful, and a lot of wisdom came out of that.
Oh, yeah. That's beautiful. That's
I
really
love
beautiful.
that because you do grow, right?
Yeah.
So the person you married even 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago is not the person who is today.
Correct.
So when you say, I want to renew my vows to say, I choose you all day, every day, the you that is right now in front of me, experiencing life with me, I choose you.
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful,
That's
isn't
beautiful.
it?
And it's real. And we just have to highlight more people that are doing it right, that are doing it well.
Yes.
Because marriage works. People do better together. We're meant to do life together.
Right. Exactly. That's beautiful. So we know that you have some things coming up, some workshops, some things that people can get hooked up into. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you got going on coming up in the next few weeks and so.
Oh, thanks for asking. So listen, I meet people all the time, right? And specifically, usually these Christian women, but it's a lot of folks who've been separated from their spouse. We're talking 5+ years. They may or may not know where that guy is, but they've just never gotten a divorce. And it's usually because lawyers want thousands of dollars for divorce.
Yes.
And we do. I'm running these DIY divorce clinics, right? And so I'll be holding them via Zoom. Right now, they're only for people who are in Franklin County, Ohio. I'm sorry if you're other places. And what I'll do is I will walk you through all of the paperwork that you need to complete, how to properly complete it, how to go through the electronic filing process, all the steps that you need. Because a lot of people I have found if you're reasonably intelligent, you can usually figure out how to file the divorce yourself. But they can't necessarily end the marriage because there's a little bit more to it than that, right? There's this legal knowledge that you need in there, and I'm giving you all of that I know. When I was hardcore practicing contested divorces, they went for $3,500 a piece, right? This DIY divorce clinic is a mere $350, and
That is a bargain.
there you go.
That is a bargain.
Right? And the idea is to get together as a group. Let's learn from me, learn from each other, and get yourself out of these marriages. If you've been married to that person, right, for that long, and you know that you're ready to be out of this marriage, and the only thing that's really holding you back, you don't have kids and that kind of thing, is just the cost of the lawyer was too much, then these workshops are for you.
Right.
Now, to clarify, if you just mad at your spouse right now, y'all still live together, this workshop is not for you. Just, attract and repel. And you can find out about these workshops just at my website right now, www.christianfamilylaw.com. You can find the dates, the times, and you can reach out to me. Call me, 614-597-1330, and I'll talk to you more about it.
Yes, and we will add that to the show notes so you all will be able to connect with Christian and also ask her any questions you have about your impending divorce. Because if you listen to this podcast and you be like, you write some stuff down, you ready to go.
Okay.
You ready to go. And that's 100% true. Christian, it has been such a pleasure having you here with us today.
Absolutely.
You've given us so many wonderful things to think about, and I really believe that our audience is going to take so much from this conversation with you and probably be signing up for your workshops.
I sure hope so.
Because that's a real thing. That's a real thing. And so you gave us information on how to contact with you. Are you on any social medias that people can follow?
Oh, I am on social medias, and if I was better at this, I could tell you what my handles are, but I don't really. But I'm pretty sure I got a Facebook page. That's probably Christian Family Esquire. I've recently been getting on TikTok, where I'm Joy Coco Divina. So definitely check me out there. I'm getting on TikTok.
We will definitely be putting links in our show notes so that people can follow you everywhere you are. On your website, email, social media, all the things.
All the things.
So we are super excited to have you. Thank you again for being with us. Brian, if people want to follow us on the podcast, how do they connect with us?
They can like and follow us on Facebook, and they can reach us at embwpodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. And so we are so grateful for all you listening. Please continue to subscribe, share, and like. And we will definitely see you again very soon. Thank you, Christian.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Christian.
Brian. Thank you, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.